Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another unboxing for the Pop Funkoverse series. This is Nightmare Before Christmas. So this should be an interesting one. So, I'm not going to go through the rule book. Check out my how to play video if you kind of want to know where I do go through these. Otherwise, we're going to jump in and look at components. Just want to get right into this. So there's our four characters. Of course, we got Oogie Boogie, Jack Skellington, Sally, and Dr. Finkelstein. But we're going to slide them all off to the side here for a minute. And then we can look at items quick. So we are going to get 8 tokens for exhaustion. A double-sided leader token. We are going to have 4 regular guys with our challenge side, our let's zoom in a little bit. Let me get a little bit better focus on this. Challenge side, defense side, and crit side. We only got 4 dice instead of 6 because we get 2 special Oogie Boogie dice, which are actually just regular, not regular, they're Oogie Boogie dice, but they're 6-sided dice. It's just another cool little aspect of buying this set maybe versus something else, because hey, you get Nightmare for Christmas characters and all that stuff, plus you also get some cool just regular die if you throw in something else, and we'll explain what those do when we get to that point. We are going to get, of course, our 4 generic characters. So we got the Mummy, and we got a vampire. So I always get a black and white one. This set, though, we are also getting a purple one that's a black cat, and an orange one that's a wolf man. And this is because our tokens are going to be different too, because we're actually going to have different modes in this game. So this is one of the ones that might be more willing to buy if you want to play different modes other than the 4 normal one, which we'll talk about them when we get to that portion of the video. We have our 4-point tokens, which are tokens, which are purple. And then instead of having our squares for control, we have these rook castles. 1 for each color to match each of the colored characters, which also match their bases. So like we have an orange and a purple, as well as our black and white bases. And then on the flip side of these are the stars, so they don't have the flags. Instead, they have these rook tokens, or castles, I guess. And then we have a torch for a triumph token. So those are all our various different tokens and stuff we're going to have. We also have skill tokens, of course. We got some blues, got some yellows, and we have some grays. So no aggression, no red attacking, which kind of makes sense. There wasn't, not to say there wasn't a little bit of violence in this movie, but it's not, Batman or Captain America punching people. And then, of course, we have our 21 purple point tokens to go through. So those are all of our tokens. And then we got our 2 cooldown maps, which is interesting because they're green. I like that there's the green and purple, like, mixture back and forth on these. And let's look at our giant map here. So we get a big old double-sided map. And if you can tell already where we're going first, we're going to go to Halloween Town. Right in the central. There's going to be a lot of stuff to unpack in this one, so we'll look over it in just a sec. But let's look at what we can do on these. What are our modes? So, our scenarios are territory, which we've had plenty of times before. 2 starting areas, top and the bottom. You have your point markers, and your scoring areas. So you gain points if you're in there. So there's definitely that. And then we have leaders, which is another common one. So I always try and keep, even when they have new modes, I always try and keep some of the familiar ones. Just so that way you're used to it. But yeah, starting areas on the other side, leader tokens, gain more points for taking out more powerful characters. So that is our 2 modes for this board, our generic ones. This is like our regular one. So one thing I do like about this is semi-asymmetrical of a board. So I see if I can turn it this way a bit more, and we can see So like you do have like your two like pathway stairs there, and you kind of have like a blocker here and a blocker here, which effectively work the same. And you have two different square ones over there, circles over there. So yeah, it's your very typical asymmetrical board, which they like to do. Then let's look at all the details. So there's a lot of detail in this one. So some of the other boards we've looked at for other videos is there's not a lot, like the Batman one there was, but some of in the Marvel one there was, and not a lot of the rest of them have a lot of references because there wasn't supposed to be little hidden things. This is going to have a bunch of different stuff in it. So, yeah, we're going to start in this corner here and see what we got. We have the present snake. And there's also Christmas decorations everywhere. I don't remember which one it is. There's Lock, Shock, and Barrel. I can't remember. That might be Barrel. We have his mask. We have a little other different presents and stuff. There's the vampire teddy bear. There's some like Jack in the Boxes with some stuff in it. Yeah, there's just so much different stuff. Plus the detail on here is just crazy. Some more snakes, some black and white candy canes, some red and white ones. There's a little room over here you can enter. I don't really like the fact that you can enter through the windows. I kind of wish some of this stuff would just... I get for mobility reasons, so you can't trap someone in a room and then knock them out or whatever, I guess. But I kind of wish they only had like one entrance in here. Yeah, here's some different presents and things like that. Scroll up. There is a drill type car pulling a sleigh. There's the duck. There's a head sitting in there. Like, I just remember some of these iconic things from this, but I don't remember exactly what they all were or were called. There's a coffin guitar. Some spooks coming out of the cauldron. There is, I believe that one is Locke's mask. And again, I might be wrong on which one's which. There's the weird kitty house. And there would be the third mask for Shock, I believe. I might have those wrong. There's a laboratory where they're trying to bring undead reindeer back to life. Like the weird pools and stuff they have. I do like how it's way up here and there's kind of like the stairs. So here I could get a little bit more having these openings because it's like you could technically, I guess, jump out of this thing, but then you take damage or something. But I get why this doesn't have like versus like some other miniature games where it might have like elevator train and this and that. So they're trying to keep it very simple and casual. So I get it. All right, so that is our main one. Then on this side, so this is actually a little bit different. So usually if you get like the smaller 2-packs, you get like a smaller board with like things on the side for gameplay. So because this is for the 4-player mode, each corner has a track of 1 to 4 that works just like the big giant ones here. It works the same as one of these. Just now each player gets their own, so that way you can play a 4-player game on here. And this is Oogie Boogie's Oogie Boogie's Lair. Alright, so we're going to look at the 2 different modes we have here. So these are brand new, so if you're looking for a different game to play other than the typical one, here's our ones you want to try. These modes are also in the Game of Thrones. So if you're looking for, maybe you're not really into Nightmare Before Christmas, but you want to play these modes, they're also in the Game of Thrones set. But maybe if you're not into that, then you're kind of out of luck. But we have a Triumph mode, so you get 1 player to start in each corner. Of course, you have point tokens. You have a Triumph marker in the middle. So if a character knocks at a character on the Triumph square, place that character on the triumph square. It is basically king of the hill. If one of your characters on a triumph space at the end of the round, you gain a point. You knock a rival, you gain a point. Interact with a marker, you gain a point. So yeah, it's king of the hill. I did have an issue with how these rules are, because it's, if I knock someone out, I gain a point, and if I interact with a point token, I gain a point. And if you're on the challenge marker, you gain a point. So the challenge marker is a little bit easier because I just have to stand there. I don't have to do anything else. I just have to end my turn there. So you might be able to race there, stand there, get a point, and then someone else has to come over. But then they knock you out, and they get, or push you away, and then they take it over, then they gain a point. Versus if you maybe just interact with these spots on the outside, and for 1 point as well. Like, they should have upped the point amount, especially because it's maybe a 4-player game. But then up the triumph square. It should have been like, it's worth 2 points or something, or 3 points. Or every turn if you're on there, the first turn's worth 1 point, and then if you're on there, every turn after that it's worth 2 points. You stay on it. Because that entices more people to knock you off. Because you could just stand there and be like, I'm going to get a point, and the other characters could be like, I'm just going to interact with these on the outside and gain, run down here, interact, there's a point, and then, next turn, interact, what I mean? Gain more points, maybe going the other way. Then our other mode is Infiltrate. This is a kind of like a hidden capture, not capture the flag, sort of capture the flag-ish. We've already had that with flags. But it's like a stealth one. So basically, each player has a infiltrate marker, and what the goal is to do is get your character into a different person's thing, interact with their marker, and then it goes back on their cooldown token, so you can't keep doing it. But basically, yeah, you gotta try and sneak into their base, use their token, but instead of like flags, then you have to try and run back to your other one. Then you can like try and go to a different person's, or go to a point marker. But it suffers the same point issue I think I have. It's because it's a lot of work to run to the other person, try and get in their area to get their point token. And then you can only do it once, because then it goes back on their track. Or you have to just kind of waste a turn maybe hanging out there. If they made it worth more points to make it more enticing, I think that would have been better. But that is just me. I'm assuming people play tested this and they know what they're talking about. Alright, so let's look at Oogie Boogie's Lair quick. Alright, so there's a lot of artwork. I don't know if there's a lot of extra detail in here. There's, of course, this big board in the middle that he spins around. So you can't go on the yellow spots, which are kind of interesting. But yeah, you can kind of go around. This is, again, it's a very asymmetrical board. There's a big thing there, big thing on each side. But outside of that, like, everything is open. I feel like there's only one path walkway between this. There's 3 paths to get through. You actually make that kind of neat to getting around, because then you kind of have to, like, oh crap, if a guy's coming through here, you have to decide to go one way or the other. And if you're playing 4 players, you might start running into people. So yeah, we have like a chain in a rock cave. We have some molten magma cave. We have some skellymen over here. On the other corner, we have some of his dice with like a spiked box with some saws. I haven't watched any of this movie in forever, so I don't remember what all these things do. So there's a wing counter, some like possibly treasures. And there's a box that is eating some more skeletons. There's some like neon bats. And I didn't really look at the side pieces. So we have a spinning buzzsaw wheel you can crank. And on the other side, we have a guy with a spade on him. Alright, so that's what we got for that. But yeah, there's new modes. Unfortunately, the modes can't... I mean, I guess you could really introduce them into any other game if you wanted to. Alright, so let's look at our characters then. See who we all have. So we, of course, have our 4 generics. We have a black cat. the Wolfman, the Vampire, and the Mummy. And they're just your generic guys, nothing extra special there. Let's look at our characters. We're going to start with the good old Doctor, Dr. Finkelstein. This is definitely a unique mini, because he's in his wheelchair. And he does have a spot on the bottom for the base, not that he needs it to stand, but so you can keep track of whose team he's on. He's got his hand out to hold an item, but I like even just the fact that his brain cavity's open, it's empty in there. Like, they could have cheaped out on this so easily, and I'm glad they didn't. Alright, so what does our mad scientist do? He says, at the start of the game, place the Igor minion token adjacent to Dr. Finkelstein. When Dr. Finkelstein becomes exhausted, Igor does 2 moves, and then may push one adjacent ally 1 square. Interesting. So then our minion, our Igor token, is going to be this little guy right there. So he's got 1 defense. He's got a black and white side, of course. But yeah, it's kind of neat. So you gotta start with him right away. So basically, you get an extra character that can move and you can push guys around. And then they can knock him out. So it's Faithful Servant. You may place or move the Igor minion token adjacent to Dr. Finkelstein. Igor does a non-interact basic action. So you can force him to go wherever you need him to go, or place him if he got eliminated. We have It's Alive. Choose a token or marker within 2 squares of Dr. Finkelstein. It does a range 2 challenge 3. Ooh, so that's kind of cool, because it can be a, it doesn't have to necessarily be his. You can choose somebody else's if he wants. It's kind of cool. And then Brain Scratch. Move 2, shift 2 things on your cooldown track 1. That's definitely cool. Alright, interesting little scientist guy. Up next, we're going to look at Sally. I feel like she should have a last name for some reason. There's our Sally. She got her stitches, stitch dresses, a lot of hair. It's some of the most hair I've seen on any character. Lots of them, you got like helmets or something like that. So she has Ragdoll. At the start of the game, place the detachable arm minion token adjacent to Sally. If Sally is challenged and within 4 squares of the detachable arm, she may swap places with it. Change the target of the challenge to the detachable arm. So she's going to get this little arm token. Of course, double-sided as well. Yeah, and she can use it to swap around, which is neat. So detachable arm. Place or move the detachable arm minion token adjacent to Sally, or remove the detachable arm from the board and place Sally in its square. So it lets her basically teleport around the board, which is pretty cool. What have we here? Sally and the detachable arm minion token each do a different non-interact basic action, and Nightshade Soup. Challenge 3, roll 1 extra die if the target is exhausted. So she only got 1 hit, but she's able to move around the board pretty well. So she'd be great for something like maybe like capture the flag, or just getting to them, getting to some of the points. You just can't do the actions with those. So before we move away from her, we're going to give her an item. So we gave her a little jar there. So that is going to be the Fog Juice. So it says, at the beginning of the game, add 1 gray ability token to your ability pool. That is crazy. I don't know if I've seen any other cards that just generally just add 1. So using that with either of these characters is crazy, because if you get that, it gives her an extra challenge ability, because that she could use this 2 times in a row, or it's going to let him mess with tokens and markers more often. And then he also uses Brain Scratch, so he can keep moving his stuff down. That's definitely cool. they also work for our next character. So we're going to slide this out of the way. As we got Oogie Boogie, because he also has a 4. So yeah, if you gave him an extra one of those, that would definitely be cool too. Because again, he could use that twice in a row, and we'll look at what that does. So here we have Oogie. He of course still has his hand, so he can hold stuff. Yeah, it's just as green. I really wish this was like glow in the dark. Even like same like Jack. I wish I had like a glow in the dark color. I get probably why they didn't do it, but it would have been awesome. So we have Jackpot. If Oogie rolls a normal or boogie dice and all the faces match, shift an ability token in your cooldown track 1. So here again we have his extra dice, which again just have the 6 sides. 1, 5, or that's 5, that's 4. If I could learn how to read a die. 6, the 2, the 3. Cool. So they're gonna work like regular dice otherwise, but like just if he rolls something and all the faces match. If you're rolling regular dice, you're gonna have a better chance of the sides matching versus rolling the Oogie dice, but at least it gives you the option. It says, I don't play fair. Challenge 4. Roll both boogie dice. If you roll a 7 or more, shift a thing on a cooldown track 2. Nice. So it's not even independent of his challenge. It's not. So he gets to do a challenge 4, which is pretty strong to begin with. And then he has a chance to even use his other abilities quicker. Gambling Boogeyman. Move 2, roll both boogie dice. If you roll 7 or more, Oogie does a basic action. And Snakes and Spiders do. Choose an ally Oogie can see within 3 squares and place them adjacent to Oogie. Roll both boogie dice. If you roll 7 or more, they do a basic action. Cool. And then every time he's rolling them, dice for any of them 3 things, he always rolls the extra boogie dice, which are rolled separately than the challenge dice. So if he does challenge 4, he'll roll 4 dice for his challenge, and then he'll roll the boogie dice separate. Because obviously those dice are never going to match each other. Cool. That's definitely some interesting little mechanics for him. And then, finally, the main man, the Pumpkin King himself. We got Jack Skellington. So, quickly before we actually jump all the way into Jack's abilities, we got one other thing. I tricked you. We have a companion card. So this is a new type, another new thing they added into the game. So besides the new modes and like his extra, in the new modes and the like 4-player stuff, is they added a companion. Game of Thrones also has one of these. So if you're looking for an extra character, so they work like items. So like where you could give someone the fog juice, you could also give somebody else 0. But then they work like a regular giant minion token. So they work like one of your, like the Black Cat, for example. They work essentially like those, except instead of having, the 4 generic ones, move, challenge, assist, interact, and rally, because you still get your allies. Your companion gets its own special ability. So 0 has move, you can move up to 2 squares, or fetch. Doing assist, interact. So he's only going to be able to work with characters that have yellow abilities, and it costs them 1. But they can move around independent, but they have to use them. So you can use 0 in this set with Jack, Oogie, or Dr. Finkelstein. But Sally would not be able to use it. She does not have any yellow icons. I suppose you technically could, and he could just move around, but that kind of defeats the whole point of him. He also has ghostly form. 0 can move through rivals as if they were allies. So basically you get an extra little character that can run around and move through stuff and move around and actually doing extra assist or interact actions. It's kind of cool. Yeah, the companions are neat. I hope they keep making more of them. For some stuff. And then we have Jack, and we'll take a look at him, and there's good old Jack Skeleton, his pink stripes. I don't know if it's called a pink stripe. The stripe suit. Maybe it's not technically a pink stripe. But there we go. He is making Christmas. On their turn, allied characters within 2 squares of Jack may use Jack's abilities as if they were printed on their card. That is nuts. I'm assuming they still have to be able to pay the cost, so to use his yellow abilities, they have to have yellow. To use blue, they have to use blue. So again, that means both Boogie and Dr. Finkelstein could use the yellow, and Sally could use the blue, but nobody else would be able to use all the rest. Just see if it says anything in here, like it has an FAQ about that. Tokens, challenge, controlling a rival, free for all. No, there's not an actual FAQ in the book for that. So I was just wondering. Roll out success tokens towards. Nope. Okay. I was just curious because I'm assuming you have to still pay for their abilities. So it says, this is Halloween. Do a challenge 3 to each adjacent standing rivals. That is powerful. Hail to the Pumpkin King. Move 1. Give this character the Pumpkin King status card. And we'll look at that in just a second. And then, what's this? Move 2. Choose a standing ally or rival character you can see and pull them 1 square. So you can bring them closer. So you can gather some people up and then you can roundhouse kick them with This is Halloween. So, Hail the Pumpkin King. What is his Pumpkin King status card? So it's going to have his name on the back. Pumpkin King. When this character does an ability, you may discard the status card to decrease the cost of that ability by 2. Okay. Jack is friggin' OP here. I mean, I guess if you're playing, like, you know, Boogie and Finkelstein versus Jack and Sally, Sally's a little bit more of a support character, so I can kind of see that, because she can teleport around and stuff. But, geez, Jack, like, he has an ability so he can pay 1 to move, then he has a status card. And then you can spend that to either make his What's This for free, or his This is Halloween only costs 1. And also the fact is he can let other characters use his abilities. So he can use his pull to pull someone next to him, and then roundhouse kick him with This is Halloween. And then, like, you got Sally standing next to him. She could also spend 3 to roundhouse kick everybody else, because she can move around and get next to him. Like, that's just kind of nuts. So, alright, watch what we got for this. This is Funkoverse, Night Before Christmas. So we're looking for some new gameplay modes, some new dice, companion cards, stuff like that. Check